Estonia is a land where the quiet forests, ancient stones, and icy shores preserve memories far older than its written history. The secret of Estonia lies not in a single event or legend, but in the way its identity has survived waves of conquest, cultural shifts, and powerful neighbors. Its story begins thousands of years ago, long before the modern Estonian language existed in written form, when the early Finno-Ugric tribes settled on the Baltic coast. These early people lived close to nature, practicing animistic traditions, believing sacred groves and rivers held spirits, and passing down knowledge through oral storytelling. They left behind mysterious stone graves and hill forts, whose purposes historians still debate. These ancestors, isolated by dense forests and the sea, formed a unique culture distinct from both the Germanic and Slavic worlds that surrounded them. For centuries, Estonia was a place outsiders knew little about, a remote frontier of the Baltic. Yet its position along northern trade routes meant it was never truly hidden. From the Vikings came traders, raiders, and cultural influences that blended into local life. Some Estonian islands even appear in Norse sagas as lands of brave and stubborn warriors. But the deeper secret of Estonia's history emerges in how its people preserved their roots, despite having no kingdom, no central rulers, and no written chronicles. They were divided into small counties and clans, fiercely independent but vulnerable to outside powers. This independence would become both a blessing and a curse, as larger nations set their eyes on the Baltic coast. By the 13th century, Estonia's fate changed dramatically when crusading forces launched the Northern Crusades, seeking to Christianize the pagan Baltic peoples. German and Danish crusaders arrived with a combination of religious zeal and political ambition. The resistance was strong. Estonians fought bravely in battles such as the legendary uprising of 1223. But despite their courage, the crusaders eventually subdued the region. Christianity replaced the old faith, medieval stone castles appeared, and foreign knights ruled the land for centuries. Yet the secrets of Estonia's earlier worldview, its myths, its folklore, its ancient songs did not disappear. They quietly survived, carried from generation to generation through oral tradition. This would become one of the most defining strengths of the Estonian identity. Under medieval rule, Estonia was divided among different powers: the Danish crown, the Germanic Livonian order, and later various regional dukes, each controlled parts of the territory. The native population lived mostly as peasants under foreign landlords, while towns became centers of Hanseatic trade. Tallinn, known then as Reval, emerged as a wealthy port city connected to Lübeck, Riga, and other major Baltic markets. But despite the changing rulers, Estonians maintained a unique cultural thread that outsiders could not fully suppress. Their ancient runic songs, known as regilaul, preserved centuries of wisdom, seasonal rituals, and collective memory. These songs, simple in structure but profound in meaning, became vessels for a hidden national consciousness long before nationalism existed. In the 16th century, the Livonian War brought new turmoil. Russia, Sweden, and Poland-Lithuania struggled for dominance over the Baltic region. After decades of conflict, Sweden emerged victorious, ushering in what many Estonians later viewed as a good old Swedish era. Swedish rule introduced legal reforms, education, and a more organized society. The University of Tartu was founded, marking the beginning of intellectual life in Estonia. Yet even during this relatively peaceful time, Estonians remained subjects rather than rulers in their own land. The secret resilience of their culture continued quietly, growing beneath the surface. The next great power shift came in the early 18th century, when the Great Northern War left Estonia under Russian rule. The Baltic German nobility retained much of their influence, while Estonians remained in. But the centuries of quiet endurance were slowly preparing something new. In the 19th century, a national awakening began as educated Estonians, inspired by European romantic nationalism, started collecting folklore, publishing newspapers, forming societies, and promoting their language. Among the most symbolic works to emerge from this era was the national epic Vipog, compiled from folk legends and runic songs. For the first time, Estonians could see themselves not just as subjects of an empire, but as a nation with a deep and heroic past. The secret of Estonia's survival reveals itself most clearly in the way culture and language became the foundation for liberation. Despite centuries of foreign rule, the Estonian language remained intact. It carried memories of ancient times and became a symbol of resistance. The people's unity expressed itself brilliantly in the tradition of mass singing festivals, which began in the 19th century and would later play an extraordinary political role. The early 20th century brought both opportunity and danger. After centuries of being ruled by others, Estonia finally seized independence in 1918, during the chaos of the First World War and the Russian Revolution. The victory was hard-won. The Estonian War of Independence tested the strength of the young nation, but Estonia prevailed, securing international recognition. For the first time in history, Estonians governed themselves. Modern reforms began rapidly, schools expanded, industries grew, and a parliamentary system took shape. Yet this period of freedom was short-lived and fragile. The Second World War brought devastating upheaval. In 1940, the Soviet Union occupied Estonia under the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. 1 year later, Nazi Germany invaded, and after their defeat, the Soviets returned. Estonia found itself trapped between two brutal forces: mass deportations, repression, and attempts to erase national identity threatened to extinguish the dream of independence. However, the deeper secret of Estonian endurance once again appeared. The people did not forget who they were. Even under Soviet rule, they preserved their language, traditions, and quiet determination to be free. Some fought in the forests as forest brothers, resisting Soviet control long after the war ended. The Soviet era was harsh, yet Estonia also developed a strong intellectual and technological culture. Hidden beneath the surface of censorship and propaganda, a sense of national identity slowly strengthened. In the late 1980s, as the Soviet Union began to weaken, Estonia witnessed one of the most remarkable, peaceful resistance movements in history. During the Singing Revolution, hundreds of thousands gathered to sing patriotic songs that had been banned for decades. These gatherings were not merely concerts, they were acts of defiance. Through music, Estonia reclaimed its voice. In 1991, after a dramatic struggle for freedom, Estonia restored its independence. Since then, Estonia has transformed rapidly. It became one of the world's most digitally advanced nations, pioneering e-governance, internet voting, and modern cybersecurity systems. Yet the country's modern success is deeply rooted in its long-hidden cultural strength. The secret of Estonia is that its identity was never defined by grand empires, vast armies, or powerful kings. Instead, it survived through memory, language, song, and a quiet determination to remain uniquely itself. Today, Estonia's history continues to inspire. Whether in ancient traditions preserved through folklore, medieval cities with towering stone walls, or modern innovations shaping the digital world, Estonia's past is always present. It is a nation that endured centuries of domination, yet emerged stronger, proving that even small countries can shape their destiny. The true secret of Estonia is the resilience of its people, the continuity of its culture, and the unbroken thread connecting its ancient roots to its modern achievements.